The cruel thing she did. My wife FaceTimed me while I was in rehab, then forgot her AirPods weren't connected and roasted me like a punchline while her new man laughed in the background. She called me weak, broke, and a grown child, then angled the camera so I could see him shirtless behind her like it was a trophy. She didn't apologize. She didn't even pretend. She smirked like humiliating me was her favorite hobby. Here's how it happened. It started months earlier in regular life, in small moments that looked like stress, until I realized it was sabotage wearing lipstick. I'm from Prince George's County, Maryland, born and raised around loud cookouts, clean sneakers, and aunties who can smell a lie through a closed window. I worked logistics, nothing glamorous but steady. My name meant something to my mom and my little sister. I was the reliable one. The man people called for jump starts, moving couches, last-minute airport rides. That made the fall feel worse because when I started slipping, everybody acted like I did it to them on purpose. Like my pain was an inconvenience they could invoice me for. I met Nia at a friend's birthday dinner in D.C., the kind of place with tiny plates and big opinions. She laughed at my jokes like she'd been waiting all day to laugh. Her skin was glowing, her edges were laid, and she had that confident walk like she wasn't dodging anybody's expectations. We talked outside under a streetlight while folks argued over valet parking. She told me she liked a man who kept his word. I told her I liked a woman who knew what she wanted. She said, "Good. Don't waste my time." I promised I wouldn't. The early days were sweet in a way that felt grown. We did Sunday brunch in Silver Spring, shared plates like we'd done it forever, and argued playfully about which R&B songs were untouchable. She'd steal fries off my plate and act innocent. I'd fake outrage, and she'd laugh harder. One night we walked the National Mall, and she leaned her head on my shoulder, saying, "You make life feel lighter." Back then, I believed love was supposed to feel like that. Easy, warm, like a hoodie right out the dryer. Our funniest tradition started by accident. I made pancakes once and absolutely destroyed them. Burnt on the outside, raw in the middle. Nia took one bite and stared at me like I committed a crime. Then she said, dead serious, "Babe, did you cook these with hatred?" I laughed so hard I almost dropped the spatula. After that, every time something went wrong, missed exit, late bill, bad haircut, she'd say, "Don't do it with hatred." I'd kiss her forehead and promise to do it with love. We got married thinking love could fix anything. The first crack showed up after my uncle died. I try to be strong, but grief has hands. It grabs your throat when you least expect it. I started drinking more to quiet the noise. Nia said she understood, but her support came with side eyes and little comments. "You gonna mope forever? You always gotta make everything heavy." I told myself she was just scared for me. I told myself love meant staying. I didn't realize she wasn't scared for me. She was getting tired of me being human. A few months later, money started moving funny. I checked my bank app and see transfers I didn't recognize. Nia would shrug like it was nothing. "Babe, I used it for groceries." But the numbers didn't match any grocery store I'd ever visited. She started saying "our money" when she wanted something, and "your problem" when a bill came due. If I asked questions, she'd turn it into a character attack. "Why are you interrogating me? You don't trust your own wife?" Then she'd storm off like I'd offended her dignity by asking where my paycheck went. I tried to do the right thing and talk calmly. One night in our kitchen, I said, "I'm stressed. I need us to be a team." She rolled her eyes so hard it felt like a physical slap. "Team? You can't even handle your own feelings. You want me to babysit you?" That word, babysit, stayed stuck in my chest. I started hiding my drinking, not because I wanted to, but because I didn't want to be mocked. The more I hid, the more she claimed I was sneaky. It was like she needed me to be wrong, so she could be right. My lowest moment came in a parking lot outside a liquor store in Lanham. I sat in my car, shaking, telling myself to go home, to be better. My hands still reached for the bottle like they were on autopilot. I called Nia, hoping she'd talk me down. She picked up and said, "What do you want?" like I was a telemarketer. I told her I was struggling. She said, "I'm not doing this tonight," and hung up. I stared at the dark windshield and felt something in me go quiet, like hope took off its shoes and left. My sister Keisha was the one who pushed rehab. She showed up at my apartment with a grocery bag and a look that meant she'd already decided. "Bro," she said, "you can't keep dying slow." I tried to joke it off. She didn't laugh. She looked at me like I was still her big brother, even if I didn't feel big anymore. "I miss you," she said. "The real you." That cracked me open. The next day, I admitted I needed help. I expected Nia to be relieved. Instead, she acted inconvenienced, like my recovery was a schedule conflict. Nia drove me to rehab in Baltimore with one hand on the wheel and the other scrolling. In the parking lot, she hugged me fast, like a celebrity greeting a fan. "I'm proud of you," she said, but her eyes weren't proud. They were calculating. She kissed my forehead, soft, quick, and whispered, "Don't embarrass me." I laughed awkwardly because it sounded like a joke, but it didn't land like one. When I asked her to keep the family updated, she sighed. "I'll do what I can." Then she left like she was dropping off dry cleaning. Rehab was quiet in a way that felt loud. No distractions, no hiding, just me, a schedule, and the truth. The first week I cried more than I spoke. I hated myself for needing help. I hated that I let it get this far. But I also felt something else, relief. For once, nobody expected me to pretend I was fine. The counselor, Mr. Howard, told me, "Shame thrives in silence. Speak." I started speaking. Every confession felt like pulling a thorn out. Painful, but necessary. Meanwhile, Nia's calls got shorter. At first she checked in daily, then every other day, then when she could. She always had a reason. "Work is crazy. My phone been acting up. I'm tired." When I talked about therapy, she'd soundboard. If I mentioned missing home, she'd say, "Well, you chose that." Like the rehab was a vacation I booked without consulting her. I still wanted her to love me. I still believed marriage meant something. I didn't realize she'd already left, emotionally, before I ever walked into that building. The humiliation call happened on a Tuesday. I remember because we had group that morning about accountability, and I felt hopeful, like I might actually come out better. The counselor let me use my phone in the side office. Nia FaceTimed. I answered and immediately heard laughter. Her laugh mixed with other voices, music, balcony wind. She didn't know her AirPods weren't connected. I heard her say, "He in rehab acting like a saint." Then she said my name like it tasted bad. "He weak. He always been weak." I stayed silent, frozen. She kept going. "He want a gold star for not drinking? Please." Then somebody, her friend, laughed and said something like, "Girl, you upgraded." Nia giggled and said, "Period." I heard a man's voice, low and amused. Nia turned the camera, and there he was, shirtless, leaning like he paid rent in arrogance. She smirked and said, "Say hi." He waved like I was a distant relative at a reunion. My stomach dropped, so hard it felt like my body forgot how to stand. The cruelest part wasn't the cheating. It was the shaming. Nia said, "He gonna come out and still be a nobody." Then she leaned closer to the camera, eyes sharp, and whispered, "Don't embarrass me when you get discharged." Like my recovery was a threat to her image. Then she hung up. A second later she texted, "Don't call me crying." I sat there staring at my hands shaking. I wanted to scream. Instead, I felt cold, like something snapped and got quiet inside me. The part that kept begging for her approval. That night I didn't relapse, but I wanted to. I wanted to do the thing she accused me of doing, prove her right, because at least then the pain would make sense. But Mr. Howard sat with me and said, "You don't have to become the story they wrote." He told me to focus on facts. So I did. I started collecting facts like my life depended on it. Every text, every call log. I remembered the weird transfers from before. I asked the rehab staff for permission to make a few calls. I wasn't plotting revenge. I was protecting my future. The next morning, I checked my banking app and felt my chest tighten. More transfers, small ones, like someone trying not to be noticed. A payment to a furniture store in Georgia. A deposit that looked like a lease. My credit score alerts showed an account I didn't recognize. That's when it hit me. She wasn't just cheating. She was building a life using my name. The betrayal went beyond romance. It was financial, legal, and cruel. I forwarded screenshots to an email account only I could access, labeling each one with dates. Not dramatic, just organized. I called my sister Keisha and told her the truth. Not the soft version, The ugly one. Keisha got quiet, then said, "Okay, we moving smart." She didn't tell me to fight. She told me to document. She reminded me I wasn't alone. That mattered more than she knew. A day later, she emailed me a list of attorneys in Maryland who handled fraud and family issues. She also told me something that stung. Nia had been telling the family I abandoned them, that rehab was me running away. She was poisoning the story while I was trying to survive. In rehab, we had a humor group session. Yes, that's real, where you practice laughing without numbing yourself. I didn't feel like laughing, but a guy named Darius did impressions that had the whole room wheezing. He mimicked how people say, "I'm fine," when they're clearly not fine, and it was so accurate it hurt. I laughed until tears came, and for the first time in weeks, the tears weren't only pain. It reminded me I still had a self outside of Nia's cruelty. I could still feel joy. Quiet joy. Real joy. I got permission to call a lawyer from the counselor's office. The lawyer listened, calm and serious, and said, "We handle this step by step. No drama. Just process. We filed a fraud report with my bank. We froze my credit. We flagged the suspicious accounts." The lawyer told me not to confront Nia directly. "People who do this don't confess," she said. "They escalate." That matched Nia perfectly. She didn't do remorse. She did performance. So I stayed silent and kept collecting. Every time Nia texted something cruel, I saved it. Every time money moved, I saved that too. Meanwhile, Nia posted little soft filter selfies from Atlanta. No captions about me, just vibes. She wanted the world to think she was healing while I was broken. I didn't comment. I didn't argue. I didn't explain. That was hard because my pride wanted to shout, "I'm fighting for my life, not failing it." But rehab taught me, loud doesn't mean strong. Quiet can be strong. I started writing in a notebook instead of texting. I wrote every time I felt humiliated. I wrote every time I wanted to give up. Then I wrote, "Not today," over and over. The romantic memories came back in weird moments, like a song playing in the common room that used to be our song. I remember Nia and me dancing in our living room, socks sliding on hardwood, laughing when we almost fell. I remembered her whispering, "You feel like home." Those memories messed with me because they were real. She had loved me once, I think. Or maybe she loved what I provided. Either way, I mourned it like a death. In group, I admitted I still missed her. Darius said, "You missed the version of her that existed before she showed you who she is." That hit hard. When I was discharged, I didn't go back to our old place. Keisha helped me find a small apartment in Prince George's County. Clean, quiet, no chaos. The first night, I sat on the floor eating takeout because I didn't have a table yet. Keisha looked around and said, "We're gonna get you right." Then she laughed and said, "Just please don't buy any furniture with hatred." I laughed so hard, I nearly choked on my fries. It felt like a tiny piece of my old self returned. I hung a cheap calendar on the wall and wrote, "Pay bills. Go to therapy. Don't chase people who don't choose you." Nia didn't ask if I was okay. She texted demands like I was her employee. "When you sending money? I need the account info. Don't come around acting brand new." The audacity was almost funny if it wasn't heartbreaking. I didn't respond emotionally. I responded through the lawyer when necessary. Nia escalated to insults. "You still weak. Your mama should have raised you tougher. You lucky I stayed as long as I did." No remorse. Not even a fake sorry. She wanted control, not closure. Then the boring, unstoppable karma started rolling in. Paperwork karma. My bank reversed fraudulent transfers. The suspicious accounts got flagged. My credit freeze stopped new lines from being opened. The lawyer said, "We have enough." I remember staring at the email and feeling my hands shake, not from fear this time, but from relief. Nia's new life was built on my name, and names have receipts. I didn't celebrate out loud. I didn't post. I just sat on my couch, breathed, and realized I'm not powerless anymore. That felt better than revenge. Nia finally called, furious. Not sorry, furious. "So you really doing this?" she snapped. "You really trying to ruin me?" I said calm, "You ruined you." She laughed like I was joking. "Boy, you always playing victim." That word, victim, used to crush me. Now it clarified everything. She wasn't confused. She was committed. She wanted the benefits of me without respecting me. She wanted to shame me into silence so she could keep stealing. I told her, stop contacting me directly. Talk to the lawyer. She cursed me out and hung up like she was the one betrayed. The consequences hit her fast. The apartment situation in Atlanta got messy once the payments got reversed and the accounts got frozen. The car note she'd been flexing stopped clearing. The new man didn't stick around when the vibe turned from balcony photos to bank calls and legal letters. He disappeared like smoke. No loyalty, no rescue, no romance. Nia tried to blame me for everything, like I made her sign my name, like I forced her to move money she didn't earn. She never apologized. She just kept telling anybody who'd listen that I was petty and trying to control her. Meanwhile, I kept going to therapy and staying clean. The real comeback wasn't watching Nia struggle. It was what happened quietly in my own life. I rebuilt my routines. Morning workouts, simple meals, steady sleep. I got back on track at work, focused, reliable again. I paid down the debts that were truly mine. I started saving slowly, like building a wall brick by brick. I took myself on a small weekend trip to Virginia Beach, just me, ocean air, and a book. No big announcement. No dramatic posts. I stood on the sand and realized I liked who I was becoming. Someone who kept his word to himself. Months later, I ran into an old friend at a grocery store in Hyattsville. He asked, "You good?" I said, "Yeah, I'm good." And I meant it. The moral lesson came to me in that aisle between cereal and coffee. Love without respect is just a trap with pretty memories. If someone humiliates you, uses you, and never shows remorse, your job isn't to convince them. You save yourself. I didn't win by destroying Nia publicly. I won by getting my life back privately, quietly, and completely. Healing isn't a performance. Sometimes it's just a man choosing peace every day, even when nobody claps. If you enjoyed this story, please like, comment, and share this video with your friends. Subscribe and turn on notification bell so you never miss a powerful story drop.